Welcome everybody. Hopefully you're all filing in, maybe post-dinner or pre-dinner. This evening we are here with conversations to raise the collective conscious, where we talk about all sorts of things, but they all lean back to how to elevate, right, our collective conscious, how to be our best selves, and how our best selves then help each other be their best selves. So today we have a super fun guest. I'm so excited for this. It's gonna be great. Our topic today is unleashing your voice, but it's so much more than that. We're here with Johanna Hirschler, and let me tell you a little bit about her. Let me move my little slide so I can see it. There we go. So Johanna is a German singer, a songwriter, and vocal coach based in Brazil. She mentors aspiring professional singers to unleash their voice's diamond, ditch fear. We're going to talk about that today. And become an audience magnet. She has been singing since before she learned to speak, performing on stages for more than 22 years and teaching voice since 2015. She has performed in concerts all over southern Brazil, a solo tour in Germany, and launched her album, which is, how do you say the
Uaçá
title?
Semente.
Oh, nice. Love it. So that was in 2019. In addition to her work as a singer-songwriter, she performs jazz, Brazilian popular and contemporary music as a soloist, is a member of a prize-winning vocal ensembles, and so much more. Thank you for being here. I am so excited and maybe a little intimidated, but but that's
Oh,
okay, right? Because we're here to just do this work, to show up anyway, to ditch the fear, and I just love it. I'm gonna just check in with our Facebook here. If you're here on Facebook, give us a hello. Let us know you're here. Let us know your questions as they come in, and uh, I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy when you were talking about, or when I knew about the Midwest elevation. I was like, yeah, is she really going to want me? You're talking about being intimidated. Is she really going to want me? I'm not really a spiritual person. I'm not really, working on this. I'm totally in the show business. You know? But I'm so glad we get to have this conversation. I love talking to you, and we have such a nice connection. And I think it's going to be great.
Agreed. I'm so excited. You say, you say you're not a very spiritual person. It's always been an interesting thing for me. Religion is one thing, spirit is another, and like for me, it's all very scientific, and I love that. But I think, and I imagine you do too, that performance, and especially singing and music, is like, I mean, to me, that's just like a divine spiritual experience of all sorts. No denomination, no like the music itself is you know, I don't know, is the spirit. Does that does that ring true for you at all? Do you find that?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. I think it's singing and especially in groups, whether it's many people singing or just me singing and other people kind of, um, locking into that same energy and creating that bigger emergent thing that's just bigger than the sum of all of us. Um, this container of, everyone getting together around the music is such an incredible experience. It really is what moves me every day, and what has kind of always, yeah, given me the energy to continue whatever happens.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and you talk, the group, the idea of the collective, music isn't made in a vacuum. I mean, certainly we can all like sing by ourselves and play for ourselves, but as you noted, like the energy is just like magnified when people are singing together or playing together, and it really, to me, that highlights the ways in which we really are connected, and we can connect even further through music.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's I always have the feeling, or I always tell people that you don't need to be singing to be making the music happen in the moment. Like it's such a big difference for me to play for people whose attention and whose energy is directed on something else, or directed to the same thing that's happening right now, right? That's the power of the attention in
Oh,
the
that,
moment that creates that big connection. It's not, and it's actually doesn't even require for us to be in the same place, right? This happening right now between you and me,
right.
because our attention is focused on the same thing. And the beauty of the music is that it accesses us and our energy on a much more visceral level. It really
Mm.
gets right into our emotions and into our subconscious. So we sometimes we resist this connection, right?
Yeah.
We feel certain fears, and then the monkey mind comes in and goes all like, yeah, I don't like this, I don't believe them, I'm not good enough for this, whatever. There's a lot,
Oh yes,
lot of monkey
familiar with that.
mind stories, right? And it's actually what happens is it brings us up here in the thinking brain, and it stops us from connecting.
Mm.
And um, when we listen to music, or when we make music, and we kind of make that switch to just getting into the energy, we connect on a different level. Is And it's just so powerful.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you said, it's not even just the people making the music, but an audience, or the set attention that pulls everything sort of in the same connection and makes it deeper. Um, let's talk a little bit about that monkey mind and that fear that gets in the way. No, we talked a little bit about my background, and those of you who are watching who know me, know most of you know that I'm a singer in a band, but I'm not really trained. So, like I've never, I had a great choir teacher, um, growing up in high school, but no real vocal training. So
Choir is such a great preparation for a rock band.
yeah, I know. They all the choir teachers, even the ones I know today who are near and dear to my heart, especially locally because they teach my kids. Um, I'm sure that I'm doing everything wrong. They
How
probably,
come you're not singing like this in your rock band? How
but
dare you?
yeah, but they love it. I love it. It's great. Um, they I guess what I was getting to, right? So I've always been um, a very uh, nervous singer, and it's not until it wasn't until I really got into my 30s that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna not do this thing anymore. I'm gonna. So I went out and I made friends with all the local musicians, and anyway, long story short, I mean, even today, like if I have to audition for something, the audition I think is like one of the hardest things.
Mm.
Um, I get totally freaked out. My voice is all shaky. I'm just like, ah. But you put me in some sunglasses on a stage with a full band behind me where they're so loud that maybe nobody
Other
can hear
words.
me anyway, then it's okay. But so how do you work with folks like that? Because I know, you know, in your business and the clients that you work with, it really is about getting to the heart of that fear and showing up. So what is that? And now I'm all nervous just talking about
Yeah. I felt all the energy rising a little here. um, there's many ways to reach there, right? There's a way, like a mindset way, where you kind of start talking about it. But the ways I like are the embodied ways, where you start feeling the stuff in your body to actually start to make friends with it. But before we start like getting more into this, I wanted to just say, you're like, yeah, how do you work with people like that?
it. Yeah,
Um,
like me.
you know, people like that, like singers who are afraid of getting on stage, that's just like about everyone, you know, all of them.
It's true. It's true. People ask me all the time. They're like surprised that I still get nervous. I'm like, before every show, without fail.
Yeah, yeah. And it is, I love to say that it is what makes us be good performers,
Mm.
the stage fright, you know? Um, it shows that we care, first of all, that we really care. And it also shows that we are capable of a lot of emotion. And
Mm.
what do we, you know, what do we what do we do on stage? What do we do with music if it's not about emotion, you know?
Yeah.
So you being able to feel that kind of anxiety in your body is actually a good sign. I love that. Like, whoa, I'm glad you're feeling that. I was surprised if you didn't. Because it's what happens in your brain is that you're kind of exposing yourself, right?
Mm.
People say it's like the reptilian mind when we used to live in the savannas,
Yeah.
uh, and they compare lions because they're just sitting there looking at you. And imagine if, you know, back in the savannah you were somewhere and you had a lot of eyes looking at you, like
Oh,
not a good situation, you
it's
know.
so true.
That's why they say that's one of the, let's say, the theories why they think that um, the fear of getting on stage for speaking or for singing is I think it's even ranked higher than the fear of death. Like people
Yeah.
are more
Right. Yeah.
right. So it's very, very common, and it's very old. You know, it happens in the old part of our brain, the reptilian brain that's here at the back. And then what is you get this visual input, and your brain sends messages to your body saying that it's in danger, and then all sorts of stuff happens. For example, your breath gets a little bit shallow, right? You start feeling like you don't have any breath to begin with. It's not that you don't have any, but it's because your body gets all tensed up like that, your diaphragm goes up, and then suddenly the breath you take in is just kind of pushed out as quickly as it got in the first place.
Ah.
So you take actually in, you take more breath in because your chest looks like but it goes out so quickly that you end up feeling without of breath. And then what happens is, going out very fast, your your vocal cords, they are like under a lot of pressure. That's why the shaking happens.
Ah.
It's too much pressure, too much air pressure. So the vocal cords, they're not closing anymore, and they're not vibrating anymore in that normal, controlled, kind of usual way that you would want for you to be able to sing and deliver in a more calm way.
Right.
So that's where the shaking comes from. And then another thing that happens, apart from, you know, the vocal part, is that the adrenaline gets rushed into your body, and apart from your diaphragm going up and you getting all tense here in your chest region that affects your breathing, you also start hunching, And if you just, just when you're sitting right now, right? Or you can even stand. Let's start standing. I think it's more, it's quicker to see what happens. You start hunching, and you start, like kind of putting your elbows in like that because you're kind of scared. And then everything is kind of like rounded like that. And you don't actually have any space anymore for your neck. Everything's become small, and you can't breathe, and you start shaking. You see me shaking?
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's.
God.
And then what you can do? Try that out. Try it out.
What, just standing there? I mean,
Yeah, just lift it up, and
I,
then
I don't
put
have room.
your
Yeah.
elbows in. You can do it sitting. It's okay. Put your
Yeah.
elbows in like that. You can't breathe anymore, and you
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
it's
feel
very
all
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. And obviously, it's not that much what we do it, but that's all we do. So now,
Right.
open your hands like that. Just open, open,
Okay.
open.
Oh,
How do you feel?
yeah.
Yeah, right?
Spacious.
Yes, yes. But we never think of that when we go on a stage because we're like,
Right.
oh, and what if they don't like me? What if I don't remember the lyrics? And what if I sing a wrong note? And what if, that's where we are.
What if we get smaller and
And
smaller?
we're looking down, and then people look at us, and they're all uncomfortable because we're uncomfortable. So the stuff that's supposed to happen, which is, the love and the music and whatever, is not happening. Everyone's uncomfortable because who's on stage is you. You're the leader. You're the one who sets the tone, right? And they are connected to you. So they start feeling uncomfortable. So there's a couple of things you can do, but just opening, and instead of putting your seated, but instead of
Yeah.
putting your weight on the back, kind of feeling like kind of I'm kind of scared of them. You kind of like take a step front to the front, and just put your weight a little on the front foot. You
Yeah.
kind of feel like, oh, I wouldn't walk to something that scares me.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's me. I'm here, and I'm going to change what's happening here because I'm the one who creates the energy.
Mm.
And that's kind of like a mindset thing.
Yeah. I'm the
I
one
think
who
that is so
creates
important to
the energy.
understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the one who's leading on stage. People are looking for you for the energy, and you're not there to sing all the right notes, to sing all the right lyrics, to not shake or not do all the things you're afraid of doing.
Right.
You're there to change their emotional state. That's what they're looking
That is amazing.
in you.
That is amazing. I'm writing this down because I want to put it up somewhere on my wall. I'm the one who creates the energy. And it's not just for singing, right?
No, this is
It's
always.
for always, right. Like, um, even teaching, it's the same thing, right? We talk about how, it doesn't matter what's kind of going on within us, without us. We need to show up for our students and be, you know,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, not that we have to be jumping up and down, hooray all the time, but that you do need to, be positive, set the tone. But even, like sitting down to dinner, or, leading your household, or, go walking into a business meeting. It's just that idea, right? That we do create the energy of the spaces that we come into.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Yes. And obviously, it only starts to work once you realize that you're the one in charge of your own emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like it's nice for you to know, okay, my job is to change the energy, but you first have to know how to change your own energy, obviously. That's essentially important. But what you said about this being like necessary everywhere, or I said, well, it's just everywhere. That's not really the case because you need spaces where other people hold you, right? You need to
Yeah.
rest. You need time for yourself. You can't always be serving people.
Right.
But it's just so essential for you to realize when is your time, you
Yeah.
know, to reconnect, to be served, to be charged, and when is your time to give, to serve, to be the one who's
Yeah.
setting the tone. Because if you're kind of, I think many musicians and many other kind of healers, coaches as well, we kind of mix that up. We love connection, and we go into our work looking for connection.
Yeah.
I I'm totally guilty of that. Like I
Yeah.
hated, just for example, when I started out, I hated singing in restaurants because people were not paying attention to me, and I just thought that
It's
was so below
exhausting.
me, you know. And the point is, they, that's a valid kind of um, service they want. It's background music.
Hmm.
It's just a different kind of music, and it's totally valid for them to want it. And then I realized I could totally do that, and I actually understood their wanting. Once I wasn't, waiting for them to approve me.
Yeah.
I get my approval from somewhere else.
Yes.
And for us to be able to stand there and, change them, give them what they want, we need to be, we need to have our cup full. We need
Mm.
to be serving from our full cup. So our approval, our need for approval, our need for belonging, our need for connection, that's something we need to, get elsewhere, so that we have the energy, that we have the power to then serve and then change the emotional state of the people who come to get inspired, to have fun, to maybe it's something. Sometimes it's something else, right? Metal bands or punk bands. They're like
Right.
great. There's all sorts of different emotional journeys that you take people on as a singer, as a musician, and so for you to be able to provide this emotional journey, you need to get yourself sorted at home.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. We talk about musicians, especially, playing to an empty room, and like we'll joke like, "Oh, that was just a practice," or even, a full room where it seems like nobody's paying attention. And it kind of feels weird, and then like afterwards, somebody will come and be like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. We had such a wonderful experience, and everybody else was talking about, and I was like, "Oh, it was okay. It was okay. That's great." But you know, I'm like, my mind is blown right now, because absolutely, because it's about that. Well, why did I need that validation in that moment, or why, in order to enjoy what I was doing?
Yeah, because you love music, right?
Yeah.
And or you're getting paid, or for some reason you decided to do
Dollars.
that, you know. And usually we just like to have fun as well. And I think that's one of the beauties of this kind of profession, or I'd say ambitious hobby, like you, I think
Yeah.
in your case, it's a very ambitious hobby, is that uh, we love this. And that's like one of the biggest um, motivations in
Mm,
our work, is that we love it.
yeah.
And it skews a little bit the kind of professional part of it, because people think we do it for free, but it actually makes for a very long and a very satisfying career, because we don't really see it as a career. I don't believe people, I don't believe in the separation of work and life. I am
Yeah.
what I work.
Yeah.
I spend most of my waking hours working,
Right.
right? And I think that's true for everyone. Just musicians know it.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's true. Well, and that, and then the idea, of course, that you have to fill up your own cup,
Yeah,
or f- fill it up from elsewhere. You
yeah,
know, that's obviously that has such broad connections to all sorts of things. But Um, but I think that that really can help eliminate some of that fear too, because it takes the responsibility off, whoever is in the audience in a sense, but it also takes some of the responsibility off you that, like I don't have to have that acknowledgement or praise to still to still enjoy it. It's not my responsibility to make other people happy.
No, no.
Right? And across the board in life, we can't control other people's happiness. We can do
No.
things that are supportive and we can offer where we're at. But
Yeah, they're the ones who have to take that offer. That ties back to the attention thing that we said before. You
yes.
know, if you play a great show, but everyone's on their phones thinking about work, what can you do? You know, what can you do is next time you ask people to leave their phone at the door. But
Because
you
they'll
know,
have a
if
lot
they
more
do
fun.
it, if they pick up the phone or if they connect to you instead, that's their choice, really. And I think the other thing that it helps with the fear, one thing is realizing that what you said, that you're not responsible for them. You know, you offer certain things that you know will work, but you know, if they take it up or not, it's not on you. The other thing is that you don't need to be perfect. You know,
Right.
once you shift your attention from what could I be doing wrong that they could be judging me, you
Right.
take your mind from that place and occupy it with what do I want them to feel. Now that's
Mm,
that's what I'm changing the room. So my intention is what do I want them to feel? What is it? What is my message? And that also works obviously for non-musicians. That's in
right.
business, in life. That's the same thing. What is my message? What do I want to cause in these people? What do I want them to um, feel once in this journey that we're taking together? Because also that's what they're going to remember, right? People remember how you made them feel,
Exactly.
and this is not in like a very broad. You can see that as a very broad thing. Like I want them to feel good, obviously, but it gets very specific. Like when I prepare my songs,
Mm,
I think about the lyrics. You know, the first words. What's the emotion? Like what's the main emotion that this causes in me? What I want them to feel,
mm,
and usually, you build your songs like that. You start a little bit uh, on a lower energy level, then you take it up on the chorus, then you do something else in the verse, then in the second chorus you go all the way up, then the bridge or goes all the way up or all the way down, and
yeah.
then the last chorus is the whoa. That's where we're going all in. That's a very typical journey on like a song level. The same thing happens in like a show level. So
Mm,
you start maybe with a with a fairly animated song or animating song, or that's not the word, right, in English.
animated. Yeah. I mean,
Animation? No,
we're
no, sorry, I'm thinking in Portuguese. Like energetic,
yeah. Yeah.
energetic. And then you take people up in a higher, let's say, vibration like joy or fun, or it could be rage, depending on your genre. Then you take them back down at some point for them to relax, because if you're up all the time, it doesn't work. And so you do the same kind of journey on the show level
Hmm.
that you do on the song level. And well, there's all types of techniques that you can do in your singing, that you can do in your arrangements, that kind of underpin this kind of emotional experience for the audience. And I think the great thing, tying this back for people who are not singers or musicians, the thing that you can learn from this is that we don't have always words or this kind of spoken relationship with
Yes.
our audience. So we we kind of communicate on a heart to heart level directly, and that totally works in whatever other interaction you have with people. If you can also put this kind of dimension in to your class that you're teaching, your meeting that you have, it'll totally involve people in a more visceral, heart to heart way. You know.
I love that. That's beautiful. I just
Takes
wanted
your
to.
mind off you being perfect, That's the good thing
Yes,
about it. Your
yes.
mind
We're
that's
so
always
worried
worried
about not
about,
making.
oh, I do the things wrong, is suddenly about, well, what's my intention? What's my purpose? What's my message?
Hmm.
So it stops from interfering with what you do, and it connects you to your joy, to your passion, to gives you the energy. That's the adrenaline, right? You remember we are talking about the adrenaline that makes you go shaky, shaky and stuff. If you put the same adrenaline into, wow, look at me, look at what's happening here, it it builds an instant connection and gives you the energy, the extra edge. If you're on a stage right, if you turn it around, it gives you the extra edge to really connect to people and to really draw them in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I tell people all the time, especially like the kids that I work with, that nervousness and excitement feel the same in the body.
Yes.
You just have to trick the brain, you trick your mind into believing that you're just so excited. But you just like confirmed that. Exactly,
Yes.
because it's just transferring that, or transferring that energy, changing that energy into something and using it in an open way instead of that closed way that can connect, and it gives you that burst of energy. I mean, that's the performance high.
Yes. Exactly. You got it. The whole, well, kind of fear and anxiety and excitement is the same energy thing, and I could, I remember being on stage and feeling this thing rising. I was like, it's happening. I'm starting to shake my legs, my legs
Oh my
like
gosh.
shaking. And me like thinking, well, they're shaking so hard, I'm sure, I bet you they can actually see it. They're shaking. I felt like they were shaking like this, and they're looking at me. And why am I doing this? I it always happens to me. Why do I go on stage and do all this stuff going through my head? And I'm about to go on stage. I'm like, oh, this is happening again. And then, wait. You thought about this. You know what to do.
Right.
Like, you actually love this. This
Mm.
is the whole point of why you do it. Because you like it. You like it. Just admit it. You love it. And at that moment, I don't know, something clicked in my head, and I went out there. And I started singing, and you know what happened? It's like I I I can't hear myself. Like, am I? Is this microphone on? That's my brain, right? I'm singing, but my brain's like, am I coming out of the microphone? I'm not sure. Like, I can hear myself because I'm singing, but
Right.
is this microphone really working? And I was like really debating in my mind, like, okay, I'm not sure what's happening now, but okay, I'm just gonna keep going until I was like, yeah, I think this mic is not working. So I took two more steps on stage. There were like 900 people in that theater,
Oh.
and there was an orchestra behind me and a big piano. How are they called?
Oh, the grand piano.
What? Yeah, a grand piano and a big band. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do that on my voice, acoustic. So I took two more steps to the front. I really opened my mouth and I just went for it. And they heard me until half of the theater, like about 400 people actually heard me.
Wow. That's some power.
And they yes. And I came back, I came back from behind stage, shaking, like literally shaking. I was like, what the just happened? And then, going over this, I was like, wow, I really grew. I really grew. Like, this was my confirmation how much I've grown as a vocalist, in terms of vocal technique, of being able to deliver um, for so many people, like such a big stage without a microphone, being that I'm, pop singer. I'm not used to doing stuff without a microphone. I'm not an opera singer. And at the same time, my mindset, the way I was connected to my emotions and my ability to really just, okay, this is what's happening, um, and I'm just going to roll with it and really use this energy to move people. People were crying. People were crying. I'm telling you, they came back afterwards. Oh my God, I don't know what you did, but that was so beautiful. And they were like crying. I was like, I can't believe this just happened. And I'm pretty sure that the mic not working actually made it better, you know,
Yeah.
because I was forced to really be in the moment, you know. I was forced to really live it. And wow, it's just so powerful. I'm
Yeah,
so
that's
happy that
incredible.
I could do this.
That is so incredible. I
And
just
it's
there is, I mean, in something like that where it's just like where the fullness of it. I mean, we've probably all been in moments like this, whether as an audience member or, whatever, where it just the sound just fills the room. And like you
mm,
almost like, I mean, you can feel like the, the sound waves just like in all your pores.
yeah,
It
yeah,
does. It's so emotional and so
yes,
beautiful. And
yeah.
what an example of like getting out of that headspace and just really embracing it. Um, that is just, I mean, that that story is just is wonderful. I mean, it's to see it, the arc of it from being so frightened to stepping into something that was so like I just want to like magnanimous, right? Magnificent. It was just I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
I love
It
that.
really, it really kind of, was a mark like in my development as an artist. And when I really realized, okay, how much the the hard work and the emotional development and the technical development really pays out. And it's really in these, small moments when this happens, when something goes wrong, because it always does, right? It
Always,
always does.
always.
In that moment where you're like, okay, what am I going to do? And you remember that courage that's somewhere in there, the purpose, your mission, how much you love it, how much you like it, and you use that, your inner strength to make a decision and really, step up to that challenge. That really makes you grow. It's like, how growth doesn't happen in linear ways, but it kind of goes like that. Those are the moments where like, whap, your whole being just stretches to be someone else.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, and
Yeah,
remembering that why, like, oh yeah, this is what I love. This is what is, the part of me that I want to, bring to the world, whether it's
yeah,
music or writing a book or, you know, launching that business, whatever it is, like remembering that why you do the thing you do, um, and embracing it. Um, that's just it.
yeah. And it's a physical remembering, right? Or an energetical remembering. Kind of like you really feel it. you really locate it in your body. You feel it like pulsing through your veins kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you access the power. That's really what I do.
Right. Well, and I was just going to bring us back to that too. So this is fantastic because it is, when you think of singing, you just, you think, oh, just my vocal cords and my breathing, but it really is a whole body experience.
Yes.
And I don't play any instrument enough to, play publicly for anybody, but but I know that it's the same, in holding postures with certain instruments and making sure, it's a whole body experience.
Mm-hmm.
um but just because, obviously singing is what I know the most. I'm trying to clarify what I was going to be saying, but I just keep thinking the whole body experience, like, um I'm just so curious, and perhaps this is a conversation for another time, but I'm so curious about how um, how the work that you do with your clients allows that embodiment to happen. And that's probably, it's probably you and I need to sit down and have a conversation, and I need to be like, Johanna, be my coach because I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Oh, and my dogs are barking like crazy. But I guess
Yeah.
so. Just to maybe end tonight. Um,
I can speak quickly to
yes,
that. It's not
my,
that complicated. Um, First of all, embodiment is something very intuitive. Like just like meditative states, you mirror it when you see it. So one of the big parts of me teaching is me being it, you know. The embodiment of mm, me embodying my emotions allows you to embody your emotions. That's one pillar. The other pillar is me actively kind of making questions or posing kind of small challenges for you to do stuff in an embodied way. Oftentimes, well, first of all, I always ask you to stand up, right? Because we don't do stuff sitting. You just thought that I asked you to stand up.
yeah,
You know, everyone who was watching or is watching, I hope they stood up. And, that's just one thing that already changes everything because we sit all day,
yeah,
just getting up. And I work a lot with body awareness. So when we do our exercise, just normal vocal exercises, the la 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 kind of exercise, I will always afterwards ask you, how did that feel? Where did you feel it? What did you feel? So it's a kind of like a physical sensation exploration in a way that you actually map your own instrument. And it's not this kind of this part of the instrument. It's everything from your glutes, your pelvic floor, your obliques, your diaphragm, your chest, your intercostals, um, all all these muscles here that get a lot in the way when we get tense. There's
yeah,
kind of people who sing like that and they get all tensed up here. The big muscles that do a lot of work when they shouldn't. So I really create this kind of conscience in my clients, bodily felt conscious
mm,
um, of what's happening, what's going on. So these kind of explorative questions, they bring the attention away from what am I thinking to what am I feeling, and that's it.
yeah. That's it. Real simple. That's all you gotta do. It's true though. It's, all the things that allow us to grow and, be our best selves are the simplest things. They are not easy in any way, but they are simple.
Yes.
So, well, this has been an absolute joy to have this conversation with you today. I'll make sure that I put the links down in our Facebook, uh, the live and our, oh my gosh, I'm like, words. Words are gone. What were we saying about imperfection? Yes.
Breathe, breathe.
I know. I'm whirling with joy, and my mind is percolating about all the things I want to do. It's been hard not performing for a long time.
Yes.
We're all stuck at home. The musicians aren't, we're starting to things are starting to pick up for people around here a little bit, which is great, but you certainly remind me of the joy and the passion that I have for making music, and that's just wonderful. And I know, and there's been a couple comments here in the Facebook, and if you're watching the replay with us, please let us know what questions you have for Johanna, and everything we've talked about today. If it resonates with you, let us know. Yeah, just so appreciative of you being here.
Yeah, thank you for this chat. I get more energetic and more passionate because of you.
Oh,
It really does happen,
yes.
That's the magic of the connection and the collective. So I really love that. I really love our talk. Thank
Me
you very
too.
much.
Absolutely. You said
So
it.
are we putting up the links and stuff?
Yes, I
Is
will.
that what you're going to say?
Yes, yes, I will put up Johanna's link. She's got a Facebook group that you can check out. You do have some cool stuff coming up, but I don't know if you want to talk about that yet.
Yeah, I am going to have a Facebook challenge, a 3-day challenge for singers to unleash their voices and magnetize their audience. We're going to talk about the 3 key steps that we take in terms of musicianship, in terms of emotions, and in terms of getting hold of our fears. And it's like hands-on, so it's kind of like the practical part to what we were talking about today. And everyone who feels called to do that, join my singers unleashing their voices and stage magnetism Facebook group, and it's going to happen in 2 weeks.
Ooh,
and yeah, well, in the time leading up, I'm going to already put some content on how to connect with the people who are there, how to feel more comfortable with your own voice, and really, making you prepared for the challenge.
I love that. Well, that is something I definitely want to jump on board with you. So
You will be
I
more
think
than
I'm pretty
welcome.
sure I'm already a member of your group, but I definitely want to make sure that I hit that Facebook challenge, because that sounds like so much fun, and the good kind of work where you really dig deep and to figure out you know how to release that fear, right? I'm gonna walk around like this all night.
You really do need to train it, because it doesn't feel natural. It
It
feels like
doesn't.
I'm not that big. I shouldn't be occupying all this space.
Right.
Especially women, we're not really welcome to occupy this much space. So do practice it. Do walk
I will.
around like this,
I
really,
will.
because it's a new way of being, and for you to be able to access it on stage, it's good for you to have done it a
Yes.
couple of times before.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you again. This has just tapped off my Tuesday evening in a wonderful way. I am gonna go to bed with a happy face. Thank you everybody on
Thank you,
Facebook and
everybody.
YouTube, whoever's watching the replay. Much love to everybody, and we'll catch you next week. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye bye.